think now is the appropriate time to debate on item 16, the Auditor General's Report Performance Audit.
It is.
Okay, thank you. Sometimes when you're looking at the way in which the Defence Department and defence procurement is oversighted in this place, there are moments when powerful and loud truths are told. Sometimes there's a document or there's a moment where you suddenly look under the bonnet and you see the way in which this institution, the Parliament, fails to oversee what is now a $50 billion a year national expenditure on defence. And with the tabling of the performance audit on the Department of Defence's procurement of Hunter-class frigates by the Audit Office today, we suddenly lifted up the bonnet and we had a look at how it all worked, and it was a sorry, sorry tale. Because in a project for the Hunter-class frigates, which has a current price tag of more than $45 billion, $45 billion, it turns out that when the Department of Defence entered the contract for a $45 billion project, they got a number of tenders. And there were three quite competitive tenders that they got. One from BAE and a couple of others, three of them. And they said to the government, oh, we're going to do a tender process, don't you worry about it. And they set out the documentations. And obviously a core part of a public tender process is you check for value for money. Will this deliver what we want for value? In fact, it's hard to think of a more important element in a public tender process. So they said, does it deliver value for money? That's what they said they'd test for. And they handed the document to the minister and they handed the document to the Secret Oversight Committee, and they said, that's what we're going to do. And then they went away and they signed Australian taxpayers up to a $45 billion project without ever checking value for money. They never did it. They never assessed the three competitive tenders against each other for value for money. They just signed off on the current project without ever checking. And then they forgot, or they failed to tell the government that they'd never checked for value for money. They never told the government. But what I find even more astounding is that nobody in the minister's office checked. Nobody in the coalition government checked. And nobody in the Labor opposition checked. They have access to secret documents in their secret committee, and they all come together in their secret committee and they think they're very important, and they see people with brass pips on their shoulders and they all feel they're in some secret club, and none of them, not one of them, ever asked, did they assess a $45 billion project for value for money? And has it delivered value for money? Well, absolutely not. It's already 18 months delayed. It's already $500 million over budget. And that doesn't include the 95 contract variations they've had to enter into to try and make the thing bloody well float. And they eventually, the original contract provided for a frigate that it turns out is inadequately armed, inadequately defended, so they keep tacking things onto it. More missiles, more ammunition, more anti-submarine warfare project material. They keep tacking new things onto it. And so now it's so top heavy you can't take it out in the sea. You put it out in a heavy sea, it'll tip over and capsize. We're going to have 6 Hunter-class frigates that'll only be able to be put out on the lake out the front of the Parliament House here. And did I mention it's a $45 billion project? What is clear from the Audit Office is we've got a bunch of amateurs in there, or a bunch of noddies, or a mixture of the two, signing the Australian public up to billions and billions of dollars of expenditure without even doing the most basic due diligence. And if you want a shiver to go down your spine as a young person in this country or as a taxpayer in this country, this is the same bunch of noddies who have just been given a blank cheque for $500 billion or more where they say they'll be able to deliver some submarines by 2060. Well, heaven help the Australian public.
Thank you. Moving to the